Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today at the Sasha Bruce Philip Reed House. I am Fandor Miller. I'm a proud Washingtonian. I spend my life's work helping young people and adults find a better way. And today, I facilitated a workshop to help our youth become a better version of themselves. We all face challenges in our lives and sometimes don't make the right decisions. As I look around the city, one thing I know for sure is that the violence that we see on the outside has already happened on the inside. So to help us address those challenges, it's important that we look within ourselves and treat the trauma that continues to hold us back. Well, today, 10 young individuals were inside that building doing that very work. And I'm thankful to Mayor Bowser for investing in people like me who are trying to help our young people uncover what's awesome and special about themselves. As a Building Blocks DC grantee, I was awarded $5,000. And let me tell you, that money goes a long way. I used it to create this program I call the Build Up, transformative building blocks for getting to the best version of you. I even put some of that money in the hands of the participants as a way to encourage them to invest in themselves. So let me say thank you to each one of those young people who showed up to that workshop today. And let me also thank Sasha Bruce for being such an awesome partner. It is my honor, no, let me say it this way. It is my absolute honor to introduce to you a visionary who created a platform for folks like me, a proud Washingtonian, to help other Washingtonians be a meaningful part of the solution for our city. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the mayor of our great city, Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Let's give Mr. Miller a big round of applause. And it is wonderful to be here in Ward 5. Wonderful to be with Sasha Bruce, as we have been many times before talking about investments in young people and how to pour into young people, how to keep them safe and thriving. I'm happy to be here with members of my public safety team who are focused on young people and the building blocks that will help them thrive in Washington, D.C. So I want to thank all of the people who are participating today. I especially want to acknowledge Linda Harley Harper, who is the director of the Office on Gun Violence Prevention. I was thinking back about Linda in this big role that she has taken on in all the years that I have known Linda. But I got to know her by standing at the front of an auditorium in Ward 4 where people were talking about various issues, and Linda was there to represent DYRS. And I thought when I saw her standing there taking some tough questions, that this was a woman who leads with integrity and pours into children and makes sure that she is building relationships in the community. And that's why when I had the opportunity to appoint the first gun violence prevention director, even though she didn't say like she wanted to be it, I said, I know who should be it. And it was Linda Harley Harper. So I am glad that she said yes to, as she has for many years, to the children of D.C. And so Mr. Miller described his work and what Building Blocks grants can mean to people who are in the community, have the respect of the community, want to make partnerships, and just want to do the work. Earlier this month, we launched 202 for Peace, and you have probably seen people all over D.C. in all neighborhoods in orange shirts really promoting and asking the community to be involved in a specific but also organic way, to just say, I'm for peace. I want to help. I'm willing to walk down the middle of the street. Will you join us? And some of the best news that I got was, as our volunteers and government workers were walking down the streets with orange shirts, people came out of their homes to join them. And so now they're going to be a part of 202 for Peace. We know that this pandemic has upended the lives of our young people and the safety net that has kept them safe. And we are all being very intentional about how to build that back up. In our most recent budget, I'm very proud that we invested more than $80 million in non-police interventions. We are dramatically expanding our recreation programming, including late-night parties, late-night pool parties, all-night recreation. We are expanding our trauma-informed mental health services and connecting more D.C. residents to workforce development and new housing opportunities. So what we can do with our Building Blocks mini grants is directly invest in people, find people in our community like Mr. Miller. You may be like Mr. Miller. I run into people all the time that say, I work with young people. I do this work. I do it out of my own pocket. And if you present an idea, it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be a nonprofit. If you present an idea to Linda, she can set you in the right direction to figure out how you can too be supported by Building Blocks. We have now given over $1 million in these mini grants to our residents and community organizations to support mentoring, financial education programs, wellness events, community cleanups, you name it. If you have a good idea about connecting with young people, we want to hear about it. And so today we will be awarding 20 additional grants, $5,000 each, to residents who are ready to put their ideas into action. I also want to announce, if you weren't in this round, you can be considered in the next round of applications, and those new round of applications will be accepted beginning June 30th. So now I just want to turn to Director Harley Harper, who will talk more about our grantees. Linda.
I'm overwhelmed by the kind words from the mayor. I want to acknowledge that this spring round of grants was our historically popular cycle. So we've been doing this for a while now, and as the mayor said, we've awarded over $1 million. This cycle, we had over 160 applications from residents for 20 awards. So that was a tough competition. Lots of wonderful, creative, and innovative ideas that came through. The grant reviewing board and panel who reviewed the grant applications talked a lot about the creativity and the innovation that was in the applications. And why that's so important is because it's a reflection of the commitment of the residents of the district to ensuring that our city is safe. We know that the government can't do it all, but we are happy to have this grants program that's able to support the ideas from our residents who know what our communities need to be safe. And so I want to thank all of the applicants. And as the mayor said, I want to encourage those who maybe submitted but did not get a grant this time, that we have the summer cycle that's opening up. Try it again. And we work with Progressive Life Center. They are our partner. And part of the process of the grants is teaching residents how to apply for grants and what the process looks like. So hang in there with Progressive Life, attend the technical assistance sessions because they are educating our residents about how to be successful grant applicants. So I want to acknowledge some folks who are in the audience because we have some current and past grantees. So first I want to acknowledge that the Training Grounds team is here representing Tom Brown and the wonderful work that his team and Tom have been doing in the city for many years. So the Training Grounds folks are here. Let's give them a round of applause. I also want to acknowledge Robin Timmy, who comes from Rock Now, and she has been running a life skills program in the community that is wildly popular, and we are very glad to have her as a grantee. And we already heard from Fandor, and I'm going to turn it over to Yay in 1 second. And we have Dr. Maurice Majid here from Yay, who is also a past large grantee winner, and they can talk about their work in the community, which has been absolutely phenomenal. So with that, I also want to add that we have in the audience Rosalind Stiles and Dottie Wade from Jobs Not Guns, and I'm so excited to share that we're going to have our third Jobs Not Guns job fair that is focused on hiring persons who have a criminal background, who have court involvement, who have been told no before. And at this job fair, you know, coming in the door that people are going to be willing to give you an opportunity to try to get the employment, and they already know some of the challenges that you face and are willing to give opportunities anyway. So we have that coming up soon, and you'll hear more about Jobs Not Guns shortly. So let me go over the winners for the grantees. First, we have Best Kids Against Guns and Violence. They're going to host a 4-week summer program in Ward 8 for youth to address gun violence and its effects on the community. Breathing for Change to offer 6-week wellness sessions in Ward 8, including yoga and mindfulness. Carriers, the Exit Plan Phase 2, to work with youth in Ward 5 on a project that allows them to give voice to how gun violence in their community has affected them and what they believe are some solutions to the problem. Clean DC with Meaning. They're going to host block cleanings in Ward 7. From the Streets to Wall Street, to work with youth to provide financial education and travel to New York City to visit the New York City Stock Exchange. East End Market, for a program that will teach pro-social behaviors and entrepreneurship in Ward 7. Garden Tools, Not Guns at the Garden of Eden, to provide young adults in Ward 8 with job development and life skills building. In Trap We Trust, a young adult-led organization established by youth and young adults who have been involved in public systems due to trauma. Jobs Not Guns, I've already spoken about, overcoming barriers to employment. Saturday Strong 2.0 to host a 4-week mentoring program. Screening and discussion of Lorton, Prison of Terror, to host a screening and discussion in Ward 8 on the history and the documentary of Lorton. Stop the Violence Pledge, Celebrate Not Incarcerate, a project that will be held during the Juneteenth Foundation Freedom Reception Block Party in Ward 2. Teens United for Freedom Fighting, to provide a personal and community wellness ministry to teens in Ward 7. The Build Up, we've already heard about, but the Build Up, building blocks for getting to the best version of you, providing tools to help youth develop skills and apply life strategies that will become part of creating their best version of self. Under the Lights, Friday Tournament, to host a flag football league in Ward 8 that will be offered at no cost to 25 DC young people. Waterworks Community Day, to provide information on reducing homicides and shootings by establishing relationships in Ward 8. We Heal by We Fit DC, which we all know about We Fit DC, right? To combine community cleaning, yoga, and boxing activities over a 4-week period. Young Men of Valor and Excellence, providing a mentoring program in Ward 8. Youth Creating Change, providing a mentoring program for 30 youth in Wards 7 and 8. And then the final awardee is Youth Entrepreneur Day, to provide entrepreneurship and financial literacy programming for youth in the district. And so as you see, these programs can touch a lot of people and a lot of residents in the district. I want to add on to what the mayor said, and said that this summer cycle of grants that's opening up, we'll be awarding 35 grants. It'll be the final cycle for this fiscal year. And so for those who maybe applied and didn't get it, I encourage you to apply again. And for those of you all who may be intimidated by the process, if you walk through the process with Progressive Life, they will help you to prepare your very simple application. And we've created a really simplified application process to allow residents the ability to access the government funding that has been made available by Mayor Bowser for this grant program. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Waris Majid from Yay Me, who has been doing an amazing job in the city and promoting a campaign for peace, which is called the No Slide Zone. And so I'm sure lots of you have seen and heard of the No Slide Zone. Dr. Waris Majid, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you.
I'm a little taller than her, but I'm not going to move this. First of all, I want to say thank you to Director Holly Hopper. She answers her phone all the time, and I have a lot of questions. So I want to thank you for that. Definitely want to thank our mayor, your investment in the city, and your investment in our communities. We could not do this without you. When we're talking about the No Slide Zone, so for those who don't know, No Slide Zone is a movement here in the District of Columbia to end gun violence, in every community. We started this journey, and in last year, with funding from Building Blocks, we were able to have over 24 events in one summer. Over 300 individuals signed up to be volunteers. We've been in communities that we call pocket communities that may not have a violence intervention partner in that community, going out every day, passing out swag, changing the narrative in the community, making sure that the young people are involved in the community. And we were able to do this with this investment. And we are still every day out here. And I tell people all the time, like, everyone, if you are at all worried about this issue, whether it came to your doorstep or not, you're a part of the No Slide Zone. If you really think that we can live in a city that is murder-free, zero, right, you're a part of the No Slide Zone. And we really have to believe that this city can be one of the most peaceful places on the planet. And it's a possibility. And investments like this help out, but it's you all as well. So we always encourage individuals, you have to volunteer. And if you feel like you're doing something, do more. And that's the push that we have. And that's what Building Blocks is doing. That's what these mini grants are doing. It's giving individuals, no matter who you are, what part of the city that you are, if you have an idea to end this issue that impacts every last person that hears me right now, this is what we have to do. So when you have these ideas, submit them. We're going to work with you the best that we can. We've helped over 60 applicants just to put their applications in. So anything that we can do, we're going to do this, but we got to do this together. Because this is our city, this is our problem, and we're going to work together and do this. So I really appreciate you all. Once again, I'm going to throw this out. Join the No Slide Zone. It's a movement, and we need everybody to be a part of it. So thank you all so much, and I can see us having 0 murders in D.C. That's what we're going for.
I like the statement. If you think you're doing something, do more. And I think that applies to all of us. If we think we're doing something, let's do more. So thank you to everybody who participated, who will participate in the next round. We have $100,000 in many grants that were awarded. And you've heard some examples of leaders who are already working to make a difference in our lives. So stay tuned for June 30th. Okay, I'll take a few questions because it's super hot.
Mayor, it's off topic, but nevertheless, one of your opponents, Robert White, released a poll yesterday in which he said that he was in a statistical tie with you, and I just like to know what your reaction is.
I don't really comment on other people's polling. I'll say that, but if I wouldn't be releasing polls that showed that I was losing.
Good morning. Right now, there are 2 active shooting scenes going on, not an active shooter, but there are 2 shootings going on in the district right now that police are responding to, separate incidents. I know that you've been investing a lot in gun violence prevention. There was the DC audit that came out about the violence interrupter program. Just how do you know this is working? I guess I know obviously you believe it is, but for those who may say, is all this money being spent, is it working? What can you say to them?
Well, what we know, having talked to people who are doing this around the country, is that it's a long-term investment. It's not a short-term fix. It's a long-term investment. And so we believe that making sure that we are connecting with people who, with very significant interventions, can turn and make a different choices in their lives. But when they do, they also affect their family and whole communities. We know that can make our city safer. And so we're staying focused on it.
Hi, Mayor. Junaid Dill with Axios. I just have an off-topic about the Something in the Water Festival starting Friday. Can you speak to DC's preparedness for this festival and other massive events in DC after March for Our Lives? In addition to the security preparedness for it, there was a scare at March for Our Lives when there was a large crowd and people thought that something went off, but it was nothing. I mean, can you talk a bit just about the heightened awareness right now about large events and how DC is prepared? Thank you.
Well, for sure, and we've talked some about this, and the police have issued the traffic impacts, for example. Our team with the police department, our federal partners as well, the Special Events Task Force and the promoters of the event have been working for weeks about how the program would be laid out logistically and all of the security around it. So just like I said last week for the Pride Parade, where thousands of people came to enjoy Washington, D.C., thousands of D.C. residents came out to Pride for the first time in 2 years. We want people to be smart. If they see something, say something. Call the police, tag officer and say something doesn't seem right. Hydrate, follow instructions. There are no firearms permitted anywhere near this festival, and have a good time.
Mayor Darío López Capera, Telemundo 44. Early today, we went to Columbia Heights. We talked with some Hispanic residents, and they told us they don't feel safe because of gun violence. If you're re-elected, could you assure them that they will be safe in their neighborhoods?
Well, I can assure them that I'm going to do everything possible using all of the resources of the government to drive down crime in our city. And unfortunately, I hear from Ward 1 residents a lot that they want to make sure that the city has the police, the number of police officers that they need, and that police are engaging and visible and out in Columbia Heights. We are also committed to some other issues in making Columbia Heights safer, like creating a sobering center. Unfortunately, we have too many people out on the streets who are suffering from addiction, and they need help. And so we are working to open a sobering center near Columbia Heights. We also want to make sure that the vending is according to all of our rules, that the streeteries are operating correctly, that we're connecting people to homeless services. And not only will Columbia Heights be safer with all of those investments, it's going to feel safer.
Mayor, two questions. The first,
How'd I do, Commissioner, from Ward 1? I heard from her, too.
very quickly, we are expecting an announcement tomorrow from FIFA about whether or not the D.C.-Baltimore region is expected to get some part of the World Cup in 2026. Have you heard anything on that front? And can you say anything about that now? And if not, do you still want to have it in the area?
I do want to have it. I can't say, and I'm looking forward to their announcement as well.
You can't say if you've heard any. Have you heard from them, or you can't?
I don't know. I don't know if we are going to get it. Now, they'd be crazy, right? But crazy things happen sometimes. We have a joint bid, I think most people know, between D.C. and Baltimore. I think this is an iconic partnership. And in 2026, we're celebrating a big anniversary for the United States of America. So having the FIFA World Cup here would be exciting. It's a short distance to Baltimore. A lot of the fan events, we know that soccer fans love to come to D.C. We've done this in the past, and we're looking forward to doing it again.
Great. And then my second question, D.C. police are investigating a shooting involving an ATV driver with interaction with another person. This has been an issue in Southeast, particularly on Branch Avenue. We've heard from neighbors. I was on H Street last night and saw ATV drivers driving recklessly down H Street. I'm just kind of curious what you all are doing to address instances like these, both with the reckless actions of the riders themselves and then obviously the violence that might stem from that.
Sure. So we're very concerned about it. I've asked the chief to reset our approach. He has spent several weeks really looking across the country at best practices, other cities. This is not a uniquely Washington, D.C. issue. It is not even unique in the region. We know that all around us there's a lot of problem with these ATVs. So I wish I could say that there's one thing that would stop it, but the chief is working with his traffic division and officers to deploy a number of strategies that we think would be helpful. We are also going to talk at a later time about upped presence, whole of government presence in our entertainment areas in the district that are particularly interesting to some of these people who are breaking the law. Let me just be clear. ATVs are off-road vehicles. So by definition, they're illegal on the road and they're dangerous. Some of the stunts that we see people doing, they think it's fun and games, but it could cause a driver or a pedestrian to get hurt. They could be hurt. In the instance that you refer to, we believe an ATV rider had a gun and shot a motorist who they got into an altercation with. And so we're looking for that person. I don't believe I have an update on that investigation right now. You bet.
Mayor, just going back to the World Cup real quick. I know there's a lot you can't say just yet, but with the announcement coming tomorrow, how excited should the D.C. region feel about what's going to happen tomorrow after?
Well, I think we should all be excited about the proposal that we advanced. It is competitive, and the reason it's competitive is because of the great city that we have reopened. Our focus on sport has been significant. And sometimes people say, Muriel, why do you worry about sports so much? Sports make people feel good, especially when we're winning. And big cities invest in competition in sport and attracting the world here. And it's not just fun and games, it's dollars and cents as well. Because people will travel here, they will use our hotels, they will use our restaurants, they will enjoy D.C., they will stay in D.C. between D.C. and Baltimore, and it will help us attract that international traveler that we're trying to win back post-COVID. So it is a very big deal, and my fingers are crossed.
And then just separately, I know D.C. and lots of other places have sort of started reconsidering certain names over the years, whether they're appropriate based off of historical things. A little bit ago, George Washington University announced they're dropping the Colonials moniker in the next few years. Any thoughts on that at all? Any reaction?
I don't. I haven't followed that at GW. We have our own process that we've gone through and will continue to work through the course of our building renovation. So I don't have anything more to say about that.
This is the last question.
Hi, Mayor. My name is Anthony with WDVM. I have a question from our newsroom that was probably off topic. So currently the DC police is investigating a shopper car murder that was tied to DC. So just wanted to see if the mayor's office know about the updates or any comments on this.
I believe that the police department will have an update. So I'm going to refer you to Chief Conti. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Get out of the sun. I'll stick around in the shade if you have any more questions from the community. Oh, and if I could say before you start moving, I failed to recognize some of my team. Nokomis Hunter, where are you, Nokomis? He's the Ward 5 Moker. And Chris Ingram, the other Ward 5 Moker. Where's Chris? So you see those guys in Ward 5, they represent me and give them a lot of work. They like work, and they like to make the community better. So I want to thank you for that.